So, Steve, aka the Sock Doc, welcome to Copenhagen.
Thank you.
We've had you here for a week. It feels like a month. Tell us a bit about yourself, your background. You're a therapist of some sort, I hear.
Yes.
And tell us about why you're here.
So I am a chiropractic physician. I practice in North Carolina, the New World.
The world as we know it.
And I treat a lot of athletes for physical ailments, metabolic syndromes, hormonal issues, patients in general too, but especially athletes of all caliber. Natural injury treatment and prevention, the website SockDoc, as you know. And what else can I tell you? So I'm here, my background is Ironman triathlons, endurance athlete, still do some endurance stuff, but not the big events. And I now am big into natural movement, moving around naturally throughout our environments, and that's why we're here this weekend to teach that to your participants here in lovely Copenhagen.
So what exactly are we doing? What is natural movement?
We are moving our bodies through natural ranges of motion, and as they're intended to be, since if we weren't living in an unnatural environment like sitting in chairs all day. So we're running barefoot, we're climbing trees barefoot, we're doing games like throwing and catching and using our physical body and our nervous system to rehabilitate things we probably lost as we got older and don't use these. We like have tunnel vision and we sit in chairs all day. So we're working on our squats and ground movements and motions on the ground, like crawling and walking in different variations, not just in the linear motions. And what else are we doing? We're doing lifting and carrying, throwing, practical applications in a real world that make us stronger both physically and mentally and emotionally. And it's fun to participate with other people and have a good time.
It's a good sales pitch.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the questions.
There's questions?
There are questions too. Yeah. So we got a bunch of questions from the flatfoot.guru crowd.
That's this high stack group that you run.
Yeah, that's the Hoka team.
The Hoka
team.
team. Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I got a few questions from the crowd. Some of them I bundled together and aggregated them. And in the end, we're going to do a few questions about natural movement as well.
Good.
You just touched on that.
All right.
So first up is Johnny. Johnny's been running for 3 months in flat shoes. He says 4 millimeters. I assume that's the sole thickness and not the drop, since he says flat. After doing 15 years of orthotics and fancy running shoes. So conventional footwear basically.
Maybe with like sparklers on the side?
I don't know.
Neon lights.
Neon lights.
Probably.
So Johnny says, I have a slight tenderness on my left foot on the top of my extensor tendons. Kind of at the base of the third middle toes, like the 3 middle ones, I assume he means. I also noticed some dry skin between the base of those 3 toes, on which I put raw butter. I know you like this one.
Yummy.
You gonna lick that guy's feet?
That's a foot fetish we're not talking about today, I think.
Anyway, so Johnny's asking, what's your advice for this slight pain?
Slight. Okay. Well, it sounds like...
You know when you say slight pain,
yeah, he's in agony.
He's in severe agony.
He's in agony. Yeah. He just wants to be able to walk.
He can't walk anywhere.
Yeah. So let's pretend this is your foot. You know, we land slightly on the, well, if we're walking properly or running properly, then we land obviously towards the back and we roll in over our big toe. That's a natural pronation move. We need to pronate to absorb shock in our body, and our toes naturally splay and our Achilles tendon naturally lengthens as our arch absorbs shock. So what happens when people wear orthotics for so long and they're literally wearing a brace for their foot and conventional shoes with a high stack and a big drop, then they lose all these natural mobility, the natural function of their foot. So now he most likely transitioned, or didn't even transition, he just went to a zero drop type shoe, even though it's got 4 millimeters, but it's a flat shoe. And now his Achilles, which is an extension of the calf muscles, the gastroc and the soleus, they have been tight for so long, and his foot has basically developed an abnormal pattern. And although he's able to develop that normal pattern by going to this different, better shoe, the zero drop, he can't do it that quickly. So he's most likely not pronating incorrectly, and rather than coming in and rolling off and pushing off the big toe and having good big toe flexion, he's coming on the outside. He's actually supinating a little bit too much, or you could say underpronating. So he's jamming those 3 toes that you talked about, and therefore they're also not splaying, and that would account for the friction in between those toes, giving him the dry skin. So what he needs to do is a couple things. One is he needs to look for the trigger points. Got videos on the SockDoc site on look for the trigger points in the tibialis posterior muscle that runs down the inside of your tibia bone all the way and connects to the arch and supports the arch of your foot. That's big for pronation, as well as the soleus muscle, which that's in between the meaty part of the gastroc, and I think we'll show this on the film if we pan down later, the meaty part of the gastroc and the Achilles down here, the more narrow part, lower part of your calf. That's most likely well, it's also an extension of your plantar fascia that goes down to the bottom of your feet and that's where it sounds like he's getting a lot of discomfort, even though it's happening. You said the extensors on the top of the foot.
Yeah, he feels it on the top. Of
Yeah,
the
he
foot.
feels it on the top just because it's an imbalance between the top and the muscle. The muscles on the bottom will, or the tendons on the bottom will fatigue, so the muscles on the top will tighten up, and that's where he's feeling it. So basically, he needs to work out those trigger points and probably look for a transitional shoe, like a 4 millimeter drop. So maybe something with a stack height of like an 11 to a 7 or something like that, and give him a little bit more support. And don't think that you can just rush to barefoot, even though it's always the thing to do. Lastly, let's eat that butter.
Yeah.
Because butter is actually good for inflammation throughout your entire body, and it'll help his foot. And yeah, it's okay to put it on his toes right now because it's good. That and coconut oil, it's a good oil to be using rather than something like mineral oil. Do you have mineral oil?
No.
You must use whale oil here. Is that why you kill whales?
We don't
Seal
kill whales.
seal blubber? Is that what you Vikings do? That would be okay, but I'd rather see butter just to help with the friction right now. That's fine, but you should also eat it.
Yeah,
Let's
loads
move
of it.
Loads of it.
How much butter?
I usually use about 2 kilos a day.
There you
No, seriously, about 2 tablespoons a day. Do you use tablespoons here?
Yeah,
2 tablespoons a day, I say, is minimum of a good raw cultured butter.
that's it.
Organic. Yeah, 2 tablespoons, at minimum. Yeah. Plus, 2 to 3 cheesecakes a day.
Yeah,
But that's another story. Let's move on.